Emily Carter used to believe love entered a person's life gently, like a soft morning sun. When she met Ethan Hayes, everything inside her shifted. He wasn't the kind of man you slowly got used to. He arrived like a warm tide, and before she could steady herself, he swept her into a world of affection she had only dreamed of. They met on a rainy Thursday evening at a small cafe in Portland. Emily was a freelance illustrator, known for quiet confidence and a smile that always tried to reassure others even when she couldn't reassure herself. Ethan was a software engineer, charming in a way that felt unpracticed and natural. He had this calm, steady presence that made her feel safe from the first moment. That night, they talked for hours as if they had known each other across lifetimes. When the cafe closed, Ethan walked her home under his umbrella. The rain was cold, but the night felt warm between them. Emily didn't fall in love fast. She fell in love deep, and Ethan, he made her believe she was the only woman he saw, the only one he cared for, the only one he would ever love. She didn't know that love could be both sanctuary and trap. Not yet. Not then. That part would come later. Their relationship moved forward with a calm, comforting ease. Ethan wasn't dramatic. He wasn't flashy. He was steady, present, kind. He remembered the small things, like how Emily hated the taste of mint toothpaste, how she loved lavender tea, how thunderstorms made her anxious. Every detail he remembered pulled her deeper into him. They spent long walks by the river watching the city lights ripple across the dark water. They cooked dinner together in her small apartment, spilling flour on the counter and laughing until their sides hurt. On weekends they visited bookstores, coffee shops, farmers markets, little pockets of quiet joy. Ethan never rushed her, never pushed her, never pressured her. He held her with gentle certainty, the way men hold precious things. Emily told her best friend, "Sarah, I think he might be the one." Sarah smiled but warned, "Move slow, Em. Perfect men don't exist." Emily believed Ethan was the exception. What she didn't know was that perfect men only exist when they're hiding something. Emily began to notice small things first. Little oddities, barely their inconsistencies. Ethan never talked about his past relationships. He always shifted the topic with a soft laugh and a kiss on her forehead. He never allowed her to visit his apartment. "It's messy," he said. "Being renovated," he'd add. "No space right now," he'd mumble. He wouldn't stay the night at her place on weekdays. Early meetings. And he kept his phone on silent every evening. None of it seemed serious enough to suspect anything harmful. She told herself every relationship had boundaries, that maybe Ethan was just private, but the unease began to grow. Quietly, like a seed planted under her ribs. One night, she asked gently, "Why don't I know anything about your past?" Ethan cupped her face and whispered, "Because none of it matters. You're my future, Emily. Only you. Only you." Those two words stitched themselves into her heart. She didn't know then that men who hide their pasts always have reasons. About 8 months into their relationship, Emily noticed something strange. They were at a small restaurant waiting for their order, when a woman from another table kept staring at Ethan. Her eyes widened with shock, almost fear, before she quickly turned away. Ethan froze for a second, then laughed it off. "Probably someone I went to school with," he said too quickly. Emily felt something cold settle in her stomach, but she didn't push. Love makes people soft, blind, hopeful. Weeks later, she found a scar on his ring finger. A clear, unmistakable indentation. A ring once lived there. Ethan brushed it off. Old commitment. Years ago. It's nothing. But the scar was deep. Old commitments don't leave marks that permanent unless they lasted long enough to shape someone's skin. Still, Emily let it go. Because when you love someone, you give them chance after chance after chance, until there is nothing left to give. It happened on an ordinary Wednesday. Emily and Ethan were buying ingredients for dinner. They were standing in line when a woman behind them gasped softly. "Ethan?" He stiffened instantly. Emily turned to see a woman in her late 20s, trembling slightly, her eyes filling with disbelief. You're alive," she whispered. Emily felt the world tilt. "Alive?" Ethan's voice turned low, tense. "Megan, not here." Megan. Her body shook as she whispered. "They told me you were dead." Everything inside Emily broke open. "Dead? Who? What?" The woman looked at Emily, confusion swirling in her eyes. "I'm sorry. I didn't know he moved on so fast. I thought after the accident." Ethan grabbed Emily's arm. "Let's go." But the woman wasn't finished. "Does she know?" Megan asked softly. "Does she know you're still married?" Still. Married. The word shattered the quiet world Emily had built for herself. Ethan dragged Emily out of the store, refusing to look her in the eyes. "Emily, get in the car. We need to talk." But she pulled away. Married. Still married. The world spun beneath her feet. "Tell me the truth," she whispered. Ethan's jaw clenched. "It's not what you think. Then what is it?" she cried. He ran a hand through his hair, breathing hard. "She wasn't supposed to be here. I didn't know she'd moved. I thought she'd stay with her parents." "Who is she?" Emily demanded. He hesitated, then whispered the truth that tore her open. "My wife." Emily felt the world collapse. "You said you loved me." "I do," he insisted. "You said I was the only one." "You are." "Then why do you have a wife?" His silence answered everything. He told her only part of the story that night. He claimed his marriage had been falling apart long before he met Emily. He said he was planning a divorce. He said Megan had problems, emotional instability, constant arguments. He painted himself as a victim, a man trapped in a painful past. Emily wanted to believe him, but a part of her heart whispered that he was lying, minimizing, manipulating. Still, she stayed, because leaving someone you love feels like tearing off your own skin, even when you know you should. Emily couldn't sleep, couldn't think, couldn't breathe. She needed answers, not from Ethan, but from the woman whose pain was written across her face. So she met Megan the next day. They sat in a small park, autumn leaves falling softly around them. Megan's voice shook as she spoke. I thought he was dead, Emily. His family told me. After the accident 3 years ago, they said he didn't survive. Emily stared, stunned. Why would they lie? Megan swallowed. Because Ethan wanted to disappear. He said he needed to start fresh. But I never agreed to a divorce. I waited, I searched. For 2 years I looked for him. Emily felt sick. Dead. He faked his own absence. Megan continued, tears slipping down her cheeks. Ethan and I were married for 5 years. We weren't perfect, but he wasn't trapped. He wasn't unhappy, he just left. Like someone walking out of a burning house, Emily whispered. He said you were unstable. Megan laughed bitterly. He always says that when he runs from responsibility, from truth, from the women who trusted him. That evening, Emily confronted him. You lied about everything. Ethan's face hardened. Whatever she told you, it's exaggerated. No, you left her. You disappeared. You let someone believe you were dead. What kind of man does that? Ethan's hands shook. You weren't supposed to know. And why not? Because I love you, he said desperately. Emily stepped back. No, you wanted a clean slate. A new woman who didn't know the truth. He grabbed her hand. Emily, please. Megan is my past. You are my future. Emily looked into his eyes and saw what she should have seen from the beginning. Fear, not of losing her, but of being exposed. Emily left that night. Not dramatically, not emotionally, just quietly. She packed her bag, put her sketchbooks inside, and walked away from the man who built his future on lies. Ethan tried to stop her, tried to explain, tried to rewrite the truth, but she didn't listen anymore. Love doesn't survive lies that big. Trust doesn't restore itself. Hearts don't forget betrayal. Emily didn't cry until she reached home. And then she cried for hours. For the girl she used to be. For the dreams she built. And for the love that was never real. It took months for Emily to find herself again. She started therapy. She began journaling. She created artwork that reflected the pain inside her. Her drawings became darker, deeper, richer. Pain sharpened her, not destroyed her. One night, Sarah asked gently, "Do you still love him?" Emily took a long breath. "Yes," she admitted, "but I love myself more now." And that truth set her free. 3 months later, she received a message from Ethan, a long apology, a confession, a plea for forgiveness. Emily read it with a steady heart. She replied with just 4 words, "I hope you heal." And then she blocked him forever, because some doors must stay closed. Some paths must stay buried. Some loves must die for new ones to grow. Emily moved forward, slowly at first, then with confidence. She rebuilt her career, made new friends, traveled, laughed again. She learned that love isn't supposed to hurt, hide, or deceive. Real love doesn't require costumes or lies. Real love doesn't fake deaths. Real love doesn't vanish from marriages. One morning, while sketching at a cafe, she smiled at the sunrise. For the first time, she felt grateful. Ethan had broken her heart, but he had also saved her from a lifetime of living with a man made of shadows. Her story didn't end with him. It began with walking away from him. Emily Carter's biggest heartbreak became her greatest awakening. He pretended to love only her. He pretended to be honest. He pretended he was free. He pretended he was hers. But Emily learned something powerful. A man's love means nothing if his truth is a lie. She didn't end up with Ethan. She ended up with herself, and that was a better ending than anything she imagined. Emily Carter thought time would erase everything. The hurt, the betrayal, the way Ethan's lies lived under her skin like invisible bruises. But healing wasn't a straight line. Some nights she slept peacefully. Other nights she lay awake replaying every moment, wondering how a love that felt so real could be so false. Breakups hurt. But breakups with liars, they leave ghosts. Still, life was slowly becoming hers again. She took on more illustration clients. She exercised in the morning. She bought a new plant she named Lucy. She went to therapy every Tuesday afternoon. And she told herself, over and over, I'm not going back. But healing wasn't something you did alone. Pain attaches you to people you never expected. And sometimes the most painful people return. Not Ethan, but Megan. The woman who had been legally and emotionally his wife. The woman who had looked at Emily with a mixture of apology, sadness, and fear. The woman whose story was far from finished. One cold Saturday morning, as Emily stepped out of a grocery store, she saw Megan standing near the parking lot, hugging her arms as if she didn't belong anywhere. Emily froze. Megan noticed her. Her lips trembled into a small, nervous smile. Can we talk? Emily inhaled slowly. Yes. Because some stories stay incomplete until you hear the last piece. They sat inside a small coffee shop, the smell of cinnamon and roasted beans thick in the air. Megan's hands shook around her cup. Emily studied her. She wasn't threatening. She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't the unstable caricature Ethan painted. She was tired and heartbreakingly human. Megan spoke first. I owe you the truth, Emily, all of it. Not just the part about Ethan disappearing. Not just the marriage. Emily nodded, bracing herself. Megan looked around as if terrified someone might overhear. Ethan didn't just leave me, she whispered. He left because of something that happened, something he caused. Emily's heart picked up. What do you mean? Megan swallowed. There was another woman. Emily closed her eyes for a moment. Of course there was. Of course Ethan's lies were not just layered. They were multiplying. Megan continued, her voice breaking. She wasn't just someone he cheated with. She trusted him. She believed him. And when everything fell apart, she tried to take her own life. Emily felt her stomach twist violently. No, No. She wasn't ready for this. Megan wiped her eyes. She survived. But her family blamed him. They threatened him. They threatened me too. That's when Ethan said he needed to reset his life. Emily felt her pulse hammering. Reset, she whispered. Megan nodded. He said the only way to escape everything was to disappear. So he did. He convinced his own parents to lie. He convinced me to stay quiet. And then he left me to deal with everything alone. Everything inside Emily ached. She whispered, "Why didn't you leave him then?" Megan looked up, eyes glossy and wounded. "Because I loved him the way you loved him." That broke something in both of them. A quiet, painful truth. Women often pick up the pieces of the damage men leave behind. And for a long time, they blame themselves. Emily reached across the table and took Megan's hand. "You didn't deserve that." Megan let out a shaky breath. "I'm scared he'll hurt someone else, Emily. And I think he already started." Emily felt cold settle into her spine. "What are you talking about?" Megan whispered. "Ethan is seeing someone new." Her name was Alyssa Quinn, 23, a marketing intern. Sweet, bright, hopeful. The kind of girl whose life had just begun unfolding. Megan showed Emily a photo she secretly found on Ethan's online profile. The profile he used under a new name. Emily stared at the girl's face. She saw innocence, softness. The same softness she once had. The same softness Megan once had. Megan looked terrified. He's doing it again. He always picks women who trust easily, women who love deeply, women who don't know their worth until he breaks them. Emily's heartbeat quickened. "What do you want from me?" she asked quietly. Megan hesitated. "I need your help. You're the only one he truly fears losing. If you reach out to her, if you warn her." Emily's chest tightened. She didn't want to step into Ethan's life again. Not even from a distance. But the thought of another girl falling into the same trap, the same lies, the same heartbreak, it felt wrong to stay quiet. "I don't want to end up like us," Megan whispered. Two women trying to rebuild themselves from the same man's lies. Emily breathed slowly. "I'll help her," she whispered, "but I'm not doing it for Ethan or for revenge." Megan nodded. "You're doing it for the girl we once were." Emily found Alyssa's public Instagram. It wasn't hard. Alyssa posted soft, dreamy photos. Books, sunsets, iced coffee, friends, little quotes about hope. Emily's fingers hovered over her phone screen for minutes. How do you warn a stranger about the man she believes is her dream? Finally, she typed, "Hi, Alyssa. You don't know me, but I know the man you're dating. Please don't ignore this message. I'm reaching out to protect you, not to scare you. If you're willing, I'd like to talk." She pressed send. Her heart pounded. No turning back. A reply came just 6 minutes later. Who are you? What do you want with Ethan? Emily inhaled. Here it begins. She replied carefully, honestly, I'm someone he hurt deeply, and I'm not the only one. If you let me explain, I promise everything will make sense. A typing bubble appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Finally, okay, tell me the truth. They met at a quiet riverside bench at sunset, a place where Emily once held Ethan's hand. Now she sat across from another girl who held the same illusions she once did. Alyssa looked nervous, hopeful, scared, all wrapped into one. Why did you want to meet me? Alyssa asked softly. Emily told her everything. Not with bitterness, not with anger, with clarity. She told her about Ethan lying, about Megan, about the fake death, about the other woman who nearly died, about the emotional manipulation, about the pattern. Alyssa's eyes filled with tears. He said he's divorced, she whispered. Emily nodded gently. He told me that too. He said his ex-wife was unstable. Emily exhaled. He said that about Megan, and he said that about the girl before her. Alyssa wiped her cheeks. I thought I was different. Emily shook her head gently. You're not different because you're not special. You're different because you care. That's why he chose you. Alyssa let out a shaky sob. I want to believe he loves me. I wanted that too, Emily murmured. And Megan wanted that for 5 years. Alyssa stared at the river, the water shimmering in broken reflections. Why did you help me? She whispered. Emily's voice softened. Because another woman's heart shouldn't pay the price for a man's lies. Alyssa nodded slowly, painfully. Thank you.